This is the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. I'm reading from the text. In the Senate of the United States, to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, a network of secure storage vaults, purchase program, and other programs to ensure the transparent management of Bitcoin holdings of the federal government. My name is Cynthia Lummis, and I'm the Bitcoin Senator. When Satoshi Nakamoto, in January of 2009, mined the first Bitcoin, he brought about an asset that will change the world. And this is our Louisiana Purchase moment. This Bitcoin reserve that we're going to create will start with the 210,000 Bitcoin that President Trump just mentioned and pull it into a reserve stored in geographically diverse vaults. And that's only the beginning. Over 5 years, the United States will assemble 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the world's supply. And it will be held for a minimum of 20 years and can be used for one purpose: reduce our debt. This Bitcoin is going to be transformative for this country. As President Trump just said, we are printing too much money. We are spending too much money. We printed in 22 months during COVID the same amount of money that had ever been printed in the history of the United States. Well, no more. With a strategic Bitcoin reserve, we will have an asset that in that period of time before 2045 can cut our debt in half.
Happy Bitcoin Monday, freaks. It's your host, Odell, here for another Citadel Dispatch, the show focused on actionable Bitcoin and freedom tech discussion. It has been 2 months since the last dispatch. Honestly, I've been focused on a lot of important shit, and I didn't have a good dispatch to do. And I don't want to waste your guys' time, so... Today we have a great conversation. We got great people in the house. I got Wiz here. How's it going, Wiz?
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Good to have you in Nashville. Always good to have you in Nashville. And I got Softsimon here. How's it going, Softsimon?
Great.
Or just Simon? How's it going, Simon?
Yeah, it's great to be back in Nashville.
You can tell. You hear how quiet he is? That's why we call him Softsimon.
Mm-hmm.
That was Senator Lummis at Bitcoin 2024. Freaks, we have your live chat up on this big ass screen, so we see your live chat, and And instead, I'm just going to keep our video big, and then I'm going to switch to live chat when you guys zap large amounts. So if you zap a large amount, it will be shown. But if you don't zap a large amount, it will not be shown. And we'll just keep the video. I think that's like a good compromise. What do you guys think? You think that's a good compromise?
Of course.
Because we can see the live chat. We do have Ride or Die Freak, FOMO, both in the live chat, and he's actually he's sitting like 5 feet away from us while he's chatting. So I'm not going to take credit for that. I do see Lebanese Hodl in the chat. It was an honor and a privilege to meet him in person, and he deleted his Twitter.
Who would do that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a gold check on Twitter, but Lebanese Hodl deleted his Twitter. So what does that say? There's something there.
You really want to talk about check marks?
No, we don't have to talk about check marks. I'm not going to hold it against you. But to the freaks that aren't aware, I did delete my Twitter. There's like 2 people that might not be aware of this because I'm a broken record about it. But anyway, guys, this is going to be a great rip. It was a crazy week. I'm going to have more dispatches this week, starting with these guys. I wanted to start with the legends. I think I'm going to have Senator Haggerty of Tennessee on, probably the first politician on Civil Dispatch, which is like a kind of crazy concept to have politicians on Civil Dispatch. But this is the new era we're in. I think I'm going to have the Tennessee Attorney General on, both Senator Haggerty, and the Attorney General were here at Bitcoin Park. They talked about how they want Freedom Tech to be built in America and Freedom Tech developers to feel protected here. The Attorney General himself said he's willing to sue the federal government to protect open source developers if he has to do that. He says it's a key aspect of his job. It's just a crazy concept. And of course, we had Senator Lummis of Wyoming in our intro talking about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, which I think everyone in this room right now, by the way, we have like a powerhouse in this room right now, on camera and off camera. We've all been building our own personal strategic Bitcoin reserves. I think that's just the coolest way of calling your own Bitcoin stack. It's like,
it's a stockpile.
Yeah, like you have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Mempool has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's strategic and it's Bitcoin. It's a reserve. It's awesome. We're all trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. So, guys, welcome to Civil Dispatch. It's a pleasure and honor to have you. Welcome back to Nashville.
Dude, what a crazy week it was. That was a hell of a conference.
It's a ridiculous week. We're going to talk all things Mempool, all things transaction fee market, everything you guys are building. But before we get there, can we just talk about this week a little bit? Because I feel like I haven't decompressed yet.
It was all blur. I mean, there was some nights I got 0 sleep. It was nonstop.
No sleep?
Some nights, yeah. I mean, between like in between the beefsteak and getting the accelerator online, and then I got to make my deck to go talk on stage. And
so what'd you guys do? What'd you guys do for Trump's speech? I mean, look, regardless of what you think about former President Trump, he's gonna most likely be the next president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world. And he spoke at a Bitcoin conference. What'd you think of that speech?
Yeah, it's about time that the powerful people are coming to the Bitcoiners, right?
I know my mic is very quiet, so I'm trying to enunciate. I apologize. They're both on a louder mic than I'm on, but I took one for the team.
But yeah, that conference was like a blur. It was just a nonstop, and all the side events and the parties and the beefsteaks and the house gatherings. Are you even plugged in?
I'm plugged in. I'm plugged in. I think I need to scream. I'm gonna scream this whole episode. We have to the audiophiles listening. We have only 2 cloud lifters at Bitcoin Park. and I gave them both to the guests. So I'm gonna be lighter on the mic. I'm gonna be way lighter on the mic than the rest of the people. So I'm
Why don't you
speaking
just
loud.
why don't you just take this one and we'll
Why?
share this one, so you don't have to yell.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
I mean, it's right here. And then Simon and I'll just share this one. We'll put this in the middle.
Good.
Does this work? Is this better? Oh God! Now I could be quieter. I don't know how to speak in all caps.
Caps Odell is.
Okay, guys, is that better? Do you think that's better? What do we say, freaks? We're watching the live chat.
Take the loud mic
Oh
from
my-
Softsimon.
Oh my God, so much better. Okay, should we start over? Welcome back to Silo Dispatch, the show focused on actionable Bitcoin and freedom tech discussion. I'm your host, Odell. Here after a 2-month hiatus, we're going to be going deep on what happened this week, and also going deep on what's happening with Mempool Space. Ride or Die Freak Wiz has handed me his mic because Bitcoin Park only has 2 cloud lifters. We're expecting a major Bitcoin bull market, so we didn't want to spend $200 on another cloud lifter. So we only have 2 of those. And this is wonderful. This is great that I don't have to scream for however many hours we go for. We are going to be going deep. I hope you guys enjoyed Senator Lummis as our intro. To me, that this is unreal. Like she graciously came to Bitcoin Park, and it wasn't the first time I met her, but she's on a mission. She's on a mission to make Bitcoin the standard. She is truly our Bitcoin senator. It's weird to be involved with politicians. I will say that once the open source Bitcoin developers started going to jail, I realized we really have no choice but to play the game. And it's all kind of accelerated quite quickly. I know some people will not forgive me for that. But to me, it's like, if not us, then who? So Wiz, when you're thinking about, I mean, we got to talk about Trump. We got to talk about Trump just real quickly,
Talk about Trump.
and then we can get into it. I mean, it's Monday. Trump spoke on Saturday at Bitcoin 2024. The likely future president of the United States. What'd you think about that speech?
That was very surreal. It was intense to be there watching him. Like basically like the most powerful guy in the world coming to our party. And literally I'm on stage like right before Trump is. Like in what timeline does that make sense? And just seeing the whole experience like backstage too, seeing like the Secret Service army with all the machine guns and everything. I mean that's what you don't really see.
Wait, were you backstage during it?
Well, I was backstage like a couple hours before Trump went on.
And they were back there?
Oh, there's like
You were like, do you know who I am? I run the mempool.
They let me on, yeah.
You're like, you need your transaction accelerated? Like, I'm your guy.
There was some very interesting things. Like right before my talk, or a couple talks before mine, was Max and Stacy Kaiser were on.
Yeah.
And after they finished their talk, Max tried to take a candy bar off of this table.
Oh, that's his candy bar.
That was Trump's candy bar. And
Yeah.
all these Secret Service are like, no, you can't touch it. You know, I guess they're worried about someone putting some poison candy bar there or something.
No. He has, you know how like musicians have this too. It's like they have their rider in their contract about what they need if they speak. And his rider was like, from what I've heard, his rider was like a couple bags of Lay's potato chips, like a couple Hershey bars, and some gummy bears. Like that was,
Yeah,
and like
checks out.
those were his. Like you
And
were
a Diet Coke or something like that.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to grab those.
Yeah, but
Those were his. It wasn't like a security issue. Like those were his. That was his food. You were trying to take his food from him.
I don't know. I've never seen so much security because you had like Trump security and RFK security and Elon security and all the private security.
Yeah, well, I mean, Elon didn't show up. You heard what happened with Elon, right?
Tell us.
I mean, so I was the hour before. Right, like I was on the live desk during the delay, streaming out to like millions of people, and talking to them about what happens next.
And we were expecting
and we were told that the special guest was going to be Elon. And supposedly Elon like flew in, descended, and then he went into like the descent pattern, like he was going to land, and his security was on site, and then he took back off, like he never landed, and then just went to Memphis, Tennessee. So he trolled the future president, the likely future president of the United States.
Why would he do that?
Me personally, as someone who deleted my Twitter, many might know. Many might not know, but I did delete my Twitter. Tell us, Matt. All caps. You know he means it. Thank you, Chief White. I was just really excited to comment afterwards on the live stream.
That was so cool because it was like all of
But
a
he
sudden,
didn't show up.
all of a sudden, just put Odell on, and there's probably millions of people watching the live stream. And I'm like, all right, this is Odell's time to shine. I was like,
I think I did all right. I hope I made people proud.
oh yeah,
I tried my best.
I retweeted your. I know you can't see it since you don't have a Twitter account, but I retweeted.
Send me screenshots. I would love to see.
You got this beautiful grin on your face.
Oh, I was so happy.
You're so
it was the
happy.
moment. I look. I think people take this a little bit too seriously. I mean, look. I have friends in jail that I would like to be out of jail. I think the stakes are quite high, but also at the same time, like it's fucking insane that like at a Bitcoin conference, we have the likely next president of the United States coming to speak. That is unreal. Like even a year ago, you wouldn't expect that. It doesn't really matter what he says to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't really matter what he
David
says.
Bailey is a evil genius. Like,
Evil genius.
he
Yeah.
got the president and like 10 senators to just come to our Bitcoin party.
We had so many. I mean, I will say personally, I know Senator Lummis, I know Senator Haggerty, I know Senator Blackburn. Those are the three senators I know.
I didn't realize you were such a statist.
They care. No. Well, Senator Haggerty and Senator Blackburn are state of Tennessee, and the
So-
Tennessee politicians, I think they actually do care. Like they want Tennessee to happen. Senator Lummis, has been a Bitcoiner for a while, and I do think she has our back.
Now, Lomas is great. I have this photo of her. She tweeted out. It's in her office where she's got Mempool up on the TV in her office, and all the staff are around it with like pizza or something. And they're getting a class on how Bitcoin works using Mempool space in her office.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
I mean,
so
look,
really.
I think Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. But if you're an American and you're a public Bitcoiner and you're trying to build and support Bitcoin businesses, like it's a massive positive sign. Like you need to, it is important to work with them, and they can be important allies to the
Absolutely.
cause.
You gotta have the government on board for as long as possible for the highest chance of success
Exactly.
of the Bitcoin movement just winning against fiat, right? I mean, that's what we're all trying to win, is defeating the money printers.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to free the samurai devs. Like, I think they shouldn't be in jail. I think they're clearly not money transmitter businesses. And I think that if you look at open source development right now, the main thing open source contributors are thinking about is legal liability for open source code. And I think the issue that we see right now in America and across the globe is that these rules are very vague because we've never seen this before. We've never seen the ability for people to use self-custody open source software to send money around the world. And that type of software should not be treated as money service businesses. So it's an education element, but I think also it's a chance to explain to politicians why encouraging and facilitating and making it possible for open source projects to flourish in your jurisdiction is good for your people, and is good for the people, your constituents, for the people that you work with, right? And I think we're starting to make real progress there. I think this conference was a major part of that. I think Trump's speech was largely disappointing for a lot of people. I think most of us probably haven't listened to a full Trump speech before. And that is probably why. He did say that Bitcoin was going to surpass gold in value, which is an insane thing for the future president of the United States to say. Or like, at least it would have been insane a year ago. Now it's just what they say, I guess.
It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever the president says, like even if he makes some kind of promise that he's going to do something, even if he doesn't actually do it, the market's going to move so strongly on that announcement that
Well, that's the cool part, right?
Right,
It's
yeah.
like it doesn't require you to believe in the promise. The one promise that I hope to see, and he recommitted it, is commuting Ross's sentence
on day one.
on day one. And I think an important thing to keep in mind there is that this is not a pardon. He's not saying he's not guilty. He's just saying that time served is enough. But 15 years, a lot of time in solitary confinement is enough, and that we should commute him day one. I think that's important, but we have to rely on him for that. We don't have to rely on him in terms of him saying strategic Bitcoin reserve or him saying that Bitcoin is going to surpass gold, because that actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, he's only, like, if he does win, it's 7 months from now, like, that he becomes president. And the market's going to, I think the market is going to react to this in a,
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
It definitely
for the
doesn't
future
hurt.
president to be pumped.
no
by
matter
that.
what, it's just like an unreal experience. I thought they did a decent job with the open source stage this year. I thought HRF leading it was a great move.
It was almost as good as when you ran the open source stage.
First year that I didn't run it. So I'm glad it was in good hands in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I'm quietly bullish. You guys can call me status. You guys can call me Illuminati, whatever. Like, I wish you guys were doing it instead of me, but someone's got to
I'm bullish
get
because
involved.
the reality is that the rest of the world is also watching what US is doing.
Exactly.
Because US is the biggest economy, and everyone's just following what US do. When US is going after Bitcoiners, shutting down, banning mining, whatever, all the other countries are going to do that as well. So
That's true. Like if you look at Japan, they
Yeah.
are so into shitcoins and Web3 and DeFi, whatever. You know, like the government approves Ripple, but nobody's really supporting Bitcoin in Japan. So now that Trump is talking about Bitcoin reserve and things, it would be great if Japan copied them, right?
Yeah, Japan should copy first, right?
Can
I
only
saw
hope.
the headline news in a Swedish newspaper yesterday saying Trump promised to make a strategic
Right.
Bitcoin reserve and make US the Bitcoin capital. So you're going to have a lot of people, voters and politicians, saying, "Hey, we don't want to be worse."
Right.
It's going to happen. Yeah, they have to
Yeah.
catch up because they're going to see the industry just moving to US and going to feel everyone's just left behind.
It's a weird situation to be a part of, to like witness. I mean, well, like 3 years ago, we were excited about like the president of El Salvador, a country of 6 million people, being like, we're going to adopt Bitcoin.
And then
Now
Trump's
it's
like,
America.
Hold my beer. I'm gonna buy all the Bitcoin.
3 years later. And then people are like, oh, we're disappointed. Like RFK was like, he's going to buy 4 million. Senator Lummis said 1 million Bitcoin. 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years.
There's an infinite amount of money at the Federal Reserve.
Sure.
It's MicroStrategy with a money printer.
But do you think what Trump said he actually believed was someone just told him say this because Bitcoin is going to be happy?
Yeah, sure. But it becomes,
Does it
once
matter?
again, I think it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's
Okay.
like, so Trump says it, and then like Trump's acolytes, like all the podcasters and everything, right? Like they're like, oh, we like the coin now. Trump likes the coin. We like the coin. And then all their audience is like, oh, podcaster said Trump likes the coin. And podcaster likes the coin. I like the coin. And then Trump's like, oh my God, my people like the coin. I like the coin. And you just go full circle. And then all the other countries are obviously all watching it. Money managers are all watching it. Once again, he said that Bitcoin is going to surpass gold.
And that's kind
which
of
is
how
crazy.
Fiat works, right? Fiat is just the decree of the government. So if Trump is a president and he says Bitcoin is amazing, then it's true, right?
Yeah, like Bitcoin's
Everyone
amazing.
believes it. It's like, oh, well, Trump said it's legit, so all right, let's get some. You know?
Once again, I don't think it's necessary. Like, I don't think Bitcoin needs
No.
the permission.
But it
It
certainly
clearly
doesn't
doesn't.
hurt.
Yeah, I think it accelerates things. I think it accelerates things.
Are you
tremendously.
interested in accelerating things, Matt?
I think when you think about it, like if we have, I mean, look, I said on the stream, that I'm a single issue voter. And my single issue is freedom. And I have never had a presidential candidate in my lifetime that has run on that. And I hope that changes soon. I don't think Trump is that candidate. I'm not going to come out here and be like I'm incredibly pro-Trump. But I do think it was a paradigm shift. I think it is underappreciated. I think we're going to look back in 20, 30 years and be like, that was the moment that a lot of things changed. And I think it's just part of Bitcoin's adoption cycle. And I think that is particularly when you have a current U.S. administration that is incredibly hostile to Bitcoin, that is incredibly hostile to freedom tech, that is incredibly hostile to open source developers, and particularly as an American Bitcoiner that is heavily invested in the space through 1031 and through my work at OpenSats, which I make no money on, but I spend a lot of time on, and time is the only thing more scarce than Bitcoin. It's incredibly optimistic. Like it is what you want to see. Like I don't want to spend the next, like it's hard enough funding freedom tech without a hostile administration, without a hostile government. But you add a hostile government to it, it makes it so much more difficult. And so for those incentives to align and to have him at the conference, to have the many senators at the conference, the many politicians at the conference that understand the incentives at play, that understand that if we want a next great American century, we need to be pro innovation, that we need to be pro Bitcoin, that we need to be pro open source, is incredibly bullish. And like that's just a pragmatic view. That's not, plenty of people are going to accuse me of cope, like it's like ridiculous, whatever. I'm glad you guys are the first Citadel Dispatch after this week, because it's pretty crazy.
I'm seeing a very important question in the chat.
Yeah, let me pull the chat back up. You didn't zap enough, by the way, but I'm still going to pull the chat up. What thoughts on country music? What booth stood out to you at the conference? Is that the important question?
It's the latest one without saps.
I have a question for Simon. What was your favorite part of your visit to Nashville, Chief White?
Pancake Pantry.
Really? You like Pancake Pantry? I feel like it's a little heavy.
It is. But I'm very rarely in the US and Nashville, and
big Pancake Pantry guy.
For me, so.
Okay, Pancake Pantry. That was Simon's favorite thing. What are your thoughts on country music since Project 2 product, a Zap 420 sats?
What my thought on country music? I like
you like the honky tonk, like the country
I like
music?
Country music. What booth stood out? Well, I think the Foundry booth stood out. It was in the middle and was largest.
That's true. They had a very nice booth.
So
I mean, I think Foundry in general is doing a really great job.
Yeah.
Like to me, Foundry was always the evil empire until like a couple years ago.
Foundry evil? Why?
Barry Silbert, Segwit 2X.
Well, that's
Suits,
not, that's
KYCing, miners.
DCG and historical.
With the owners of Foundry. I don't know. My point is
good to me.
My point is my whole point is that they've become the leading by example, like what you want to see actually. Like my whole point was that my opinion of them has completely changed.
They're a lot worse mining pool operate. Like you could be so evil as a mining pool operator, and they're cool. They started by giving us a grant in the early days to develop a lot of mining related functionality in the Mempool open source project, and then slowly over the years we developed the transaction accelerator together with Foundry, and then to launch it, wide open to the whole world. I mean, they're great, and maybe I'm biased, but I think it'd be a lot worse. Not going to name any names, but.
No, I think they're crushing it. I would go further than that. Like, I think they're leading by example right now, and I'm incredibly impressed with Foundry's building out. I mean, Foundry recently released their open source funding program, where any miners of Foundry have a drop down, and OpenSats is obviously included. We helped iterate and test out that implementation with them, but they can do a drop down and they can pick how much of their rewards go to open source development in a very low friction way, which is fucking awesome. I mean, I think they've led the way with Stratum V2, which I think is incredibly important for the space. And just more and more, I'm just impressed with what Foundry is building. We had a bunch of the leadership here at the park this week. By the way, freaks, I know I've taken a break from dispatch. Look, it's been the summer. I don't want to burden you guys with bad conversation. I want good conversation only on dispatch. If you're listening to me in your ear, it should be worth it. We have a bunch of great conversation that we're working on producing that will be published to the Citadel Dispatch feed throughout the week. But we had just a who's who of both industry leaders and local politicians while we're on it that were here. And they will all be broadcast feed. I had Michael Saylor himself came to Bitcoin Park. Were you guys here for the Michael Saylor
I was
conversation?
there, and it was super cool.
Did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed it. See Michael Saylor up close, and you had a very interesting debate.
Packed house.
Yeah.
Packed house for Michael. It was pretty funny. I think he's, there's a lot of mutual respect there. We've had a lot of productive conversations recently. I thought it was kind of funny that, when he walked in, like the governor was speaking. So he was like second fiddle. I don't think he's used to that. Like the governor's security detail, particularly after the Trump incident a few weeks ago, was very serious. they were serious people, and the governor was number one, Michael was number two, and Michael had to come second. But that was a great conversation that will be posted to the feed. But yeah, we have MZ in the chat, and also like literally on the couch, like 5 feet away from us, saying that it was an awesome time at Bitcoin Park. So
Yeah, Bitcoin Park is obviously one
kind
of
of
the better parts of Nashville.
One
For
of
a
the
Bitcoiner.
Besides Pancake Pantry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we got Pancake Pantry and
Number
we got Bitcoin
one,
Park.
Pancake Pantry. Number two, close second. Bitcoin.
Close second, Bitcoin Park. Okay, guys. Okay, we talked enough about politicians. I do think shit is accelerating. Is nation state FOMO upon us? Like, does things get?
I think
A
so. I
little
mean,
bit
El
ridiculous.
Salvador kind of started the trend, and now the U.S. is going to be the second nation to do
The
that.
second. What about? I mean, there's other countries that have quietly started a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I mean, you remember Bhutan showed up in the bankruptcy proceedings of
True, but
Celsius and
but I think when it comes to like really
BlockFi.
serious Bitcoin stuff, like the entire country adopting the Bitcoin standard, or the U.S. adopting this strategic stockpile, whatever. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean it's clearly not Germany. Germany sold all their coin.
Yeah, did you see?
Right before all this shit happened.
El Salvador has more Bitcoin than Germany.
I know. Okay, can we talk? I mean, while we're talking about nation state adoption, are you really a nation state that has a strategic Bitcoin reserve if you don't have your own hosted mempool instance?
That's true. You can go to bitcoin.gob.sv to see the Bitcoin office of El Salvador's custom instance of the Mempool open source project.
And I love that they buy 1 Bitcoin per day, which is like if you're a small country, that is the most meme worthy Bitcoin accumulation strategy. It's literally just a staircase. It just goes up constantly forever. It's just like 1 Bitcoin per day, just up and to the right.
They're following your strategy perfectly. They're staying humble and stacking
sats.
They're stacking whole coins though.
They're stacking 100 million sats per stack, but they're still stacking sats. I mean, one day maybe we'll see. I mean, the U.S. government owns the .gov suffix, right?
So yeah, that actually.
So we might have Bitcoin.gov is a mempool instance.
Powered. Yeah,
Did you
that's the dream.
get to ask Trump about that?
I'm sorry, that's confidential.
Oh,
I can't reveal.
Well, he might be listening, Mr. President. We would love to have Bitcoin.gov be a self-hosted mempool instance.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? That the U.S. does this strategic Bitcoin reserve, and they self-host their own instance of mempool, and they have a nice ladder on there too. Although it'll probably be different shape than a ladder or a step ladder. It's going to be
just up,
just like a hockey stick.
Just straight hockey stick. I would say one thing, and I don't think I'll ever win this argument with our politicians, but it is a little bit concerning that they're starting it with 200K seized Bitcoin, which is like mostly Bitfinex's Bitcoin from the greatest rapper of all
basically
time.
a 6102 attack, right? They're going to say, oh yeah, we need to confiscate everyone's Bitcoin for our strategic stockpile.
Yeah,
because they're hoarding Bitcoin. That's exactly what
I would like a policy that said if you seize Bitcoin, it has to be burned. They will never do that. I mean, the precedent is kind of set. They do burn cocaine, like they don't sell the cocaine back to the market. They just straight up burn it, and you can provably burn it. It would be good to see that. Short of that, it would be great if we had a law that said seized Bitcoin had to be donated to OpenSats.
That's pretty good.
I would like that. We probably won't get that either. I'm down for a 3-way split between HRF, Brink, and OpenSats. Like I'd be cool with that as well. Probably will never get that. But yeah, they're going to start with the seized Bitcoin. That was a little bit weird with Trump. He was like, they took your Bitcoin, and they're like, yeah, and I'm going to put it in the treasury. He was like, he like almost was like, we shouldn't take your Bitcoin, but then he was like, no, but I'm going to keep it. They took it, but I'm going to keep it. But that was a little bit odd.
I mean, it's kind of how the government would do a 6102 attack, right? They would use their surveillance powers and use their monopoly on violence and say, you're a criminal. We're going to seize your Bitcoin.
Yeah. And now it's our
for the
Bitcoin.
strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone loves a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
I love the term strategic Bitcoin reserve.
I mean, yeah.
It's better that they just sell it, just like the Germans did. Like sell it and it distribute it among all the plebs.
No, just burn it. Burning is distribution.
Yeah, that's true.
Burning's even better because you take away that incentive, right? They can't even use it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the cool things that Senator Lummis did say was that the strategic Bitcoin reserve can only be used for paying down the debt. You can't use it for a million different government expenditures, right? Like you can't use it for war. You can't use it for, I don't know, whatever, like salaries for senators and shit. So I like that aspect. I like that she said you can only use it for that. So let's put more liens on it. Let's say like, oh, you can't, if you seize, you can't take it. But that'll probably never happen. Yeah, like donate. Josh has got a good point in the chat. Donate the Bitcoin to OpenSats. Never gonna happen, but a man can try. I make no money from OpenSats, so like it's not paying me. It's paying open source developers that need it.
You give out any cool grants recently?
Do we give out any cool grants recently? Yeah, we gave out a lot of cool grants recently. Well, you can go to opensats.org. And if you go to opensats.org, we have a great blog that lists our recent grants. I know we gave Fiat Jaffa a long-term support grant for Nostr. And by the way, I never really talk about individual grants and like the specifics about it. Grant recipients actually ask for how much money they want. Fiat Jeff is on the Nostr committee. He can see what other people ask for grants, which is a concern, right? It's like a corruption concern to a degree. I mean, I think we were insulated by that because OpenSats requires 5 of 9 board members to approve any grant regardless. He asked for a lot less than like a lot of other people get.
It's a humble guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed. I like to the point where I was like, dude, you should ask for more. He's like, I'm good. This is like a good amount. So I'm glad we supported him. We supported Hodlbod, who's awesome. Also in the Nostr community. Those obviously come out of our Nostr fund. Recently, out of the Bitcoin grants out of our general fund, we supported eNuts, which is a great cashew project. We supported Blitz Wallet, fantastic Lightning project. We supported VLS, validating Lightning Signer, which is the way to take, instead of Lightning wallets being hot, they're working on making it, you can have your keys cold. and you can sign channel opens and channel closes, which I think is like quietly really important and impossible to monetize project because you need it to be open and there's no way you can be in the flow of funds.
That issue isn't solved yet with having cold storage on your Lightning node, running a routing node, for example.
No, you need to have you need to have your keys hot right now. Like
Yeah.
all the routing nodes are all hot.
Mm.
Which is crazy. Like particularly as Bitcoin increases in price, it's more and more purchasing power are on these large routing nodes. Like if you think like Async's node, for instance, right? Like Phoenix's node. Like there's a shit ton of Bitcoin on that node, and it's all a hot wallet. And back in our day, the rule of thumb was very simple. It was like you keep small amounts in the hot wallet, and you keep the majority in the cold wallet. Never connect to the internet. And Lightning changed that dynamic. It was like more and more money is in the hot wallet, and you have no choice in validating Lightning
running
signers.
your own personal Lightning node, then you probably don't need that much liquidity. But yeah, if you're
this is for the routing nodes.
LSP,
Yeah. But let's say you have a point of sale system and only accepting, then you can use this kind of cold storage solution and set rules on it that it should only sign transaction when you have incoming transactions, for example. So you can't get hacked. Someone just drain all your funds, because then some rule kick in that just blocks that.
Yeah, I like that. But you need to have a signer that is able to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's what VLS is working
Right.
on. I mean, at this point, OpenSats now is supporting almost 200 open source contributors.
Did you ever sponsor the Mempool open source project?
Did you guys apply?
No, I think
opensats.org
I think
/apply.
I think when we were doing the grants and the sponsors was before OpenSats started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and now
What
you
year
guys,
what year did you start?
now you guys are a sustainable Sats flow business. Like we're like, that's what we're going to talk about, I think. But you guys are actually still welcome to apply. Like you are well within the mandate of OpenSats, which is an open source
leave
project.
that funding for people.
Yeah, because you guys are ethical and amazing. But I don't think, I think the fact that there is a business model that exists doesn't preclude you from applying. And to be clear, 1031 is the largest investor of Mempool. So I would recuse myself from that decision. And we have a full audit trail with all of our votes. But I think that's the goal. I think it would be great to have more open source. Like to me, the cool part about Mempool is that it's this beautiful dream of an open source project that has a path to sustainable funding that doesn't require grants. And I think that didn't exist before Bitcoin. And I mean, that's what we're going to discuss. So let's talk about that. You have something to say before we talk about that?
No, I think there's some open source projects you can monetize and some you can't. Like you're saying, if there's some VLS or
you can't monetize validating Lightning signer.
It's if it's going to be like a protocol level project.
How do you monetize separating keys from signing on a hot?
It's like a library or a protocol thing. Even Bitcoin Core. I mean, you can't really.
You can never monetize Bitcoin Core.
And so if you're like an application, which is what Mempool is, then I think you have a shot. And there's very, very successful open source companies like MySQL was acquired for $1 billion, or even Red Hat Enterprise Linux was like 20-something $1 billion.
Yeah, but their model was like support, right?
Yeah, but that's a valid business model for an open source project. I mean, we do that. We have an enterprise offering.
Yeah.
Lots of customers actually on Mempool Enterprise now. Some you might have heard of.
Chief White mentioned Shotgun Willie's. That's the best Texas barbecues in Nashville, and it's called Shotgun Willie's.
I like how it's the best Texas barbecue in Nashville.
They're actually former Texans, and they moved to Nashville, and they have great barbecue. Yeah, I mean, there's certain projects that have a chance to monetize, and there's certain projects that don't, and then there's certain projects that only have a chance to monetize because Bitcoin exists. And I would say Mempool is kind of on the bleeding edge of that with the transaction accelerator. So should we talk about? Let's jump into the transaction accelerator a bit. Like it's now public, right? Like what was this? Like 2 days ago?
Yeah. So if we start at the beginning, when Simon and I first co-founded the Mempool open source project back in 2019, the Mempool was empty, and we were just kind of developing the project in the early days. But at some times the Mempool would get congested, and we would suddenly get 9,000 messages from people who thought we were the Mempool and ran the Mempool and could magically confirm their
or just reach out for support because they were desperate, right?
Yeah, and so at some point I'm like, oh, well, maybe we should just do that as a service and like charge them money to confirm their transactions.
Yeah.
And so at the time, the mempool was mostly empty. Like Catan's famous tweet, you could always do 1 sat per vbyte and get it confirmed in the next block. So why would you build a transaction accelerator? But we were always kind of ahead of the curve in the terms of the mempool stuff, especially like the first few years of the project. Mempool was completely empty, but we just kept building it anyway because we knew in the future it would be very relevant. And just like we know the accelerator is going to be super relevant in the future, we've been building over the past few years. Yeah, I mean, when did we start the idea for the accelerator? I guess it was 2020.
Yeah, I think you started pitching the idea of building an accelerator, and I remember back then I didn't think of any like reasonable way to monetize the project because we have a no ad policy, for example, so we can't put any ads, we can't have any airdrops,
I like that.
or we can't have a mempool token, we can't have any of that. So I couldn't really come up with any great idea. And I think given all the messages,
like, damn it, can't have a token.
yeah,
Can't come
you
out
have
with
to
any
keep it
great
open
idea.
source, donation based, maybe like grant based. But
and we did get all the
yeah.
grants in the early days that we could. I mean, the project was very popular as soon as the mempool got full, and everyone was very generous, and we got grants from Spiral and Foundry and Unchained and Blockstream and Gemini, and everybody was very generous and supported us.
And I also contributed personally.
That's true. Odell is the
first one
OG sponsor.
First one. Technically, Jameson sent first, but I paid a higher fee.
He's second.
I paid a higher fee. Mine confirmed first.
Nice. Yeah,
which is more important. It's because it's settled.
Thank you for sponsoring the Mempool.
You're welcome. I made it all possible.
But actually, our biggest sponsor was probably Jack Dorsey over the years, both individually and
many such cases.
Spiral's grant program, and then later we made deals to power the BitKey wallet backend for the hardware wallet they developed.
That's so cool that you guys are that.
Yeah, and now we're just kind of doing mempool space for all of the Jack Dorsey companies.
I mean, we have a slide that we share to investors at 1031. It's like different partnerships among 1031 portfolio companies, and it's literally just like mempool in the middle, and you guys just have lines to. Yeah, we have 36 portfolio companies, like 34 of them you have lines to. It's insane.
But when people go to the website, they don't really see the whole enterprise offering of it all. Like the infrastructure that we have built up is allowing us to provide this like reliable API infrastructure to a ton of companies and businesses like BitKey for the wallet backend, and that's helping us funding the financing the project, right? And that's not really what a lot of people are seeing, because a lot of people ask me constantly, but how do you make money? How do you guys make money? Because they only see this free available,
right,
completely free website with no ads, with no service.
It's what we use for the background of Scylla Dispatch.
Yeah, that's a nice. We made that for the Bitcoin conference last year. Actually, we had that giant clock tower, and it was running this circular clock face.
And then you custom made this nice chat thing for me.
I think it's cool.
I love it. I think it's great. By the way, if you're listening, I see we have a couple thousand listeners in the YouTube chat. If you go to Nostr, the live chat that is shown is the Nostr live chat. So that's citaddispatch.com/stream. And if you go to citaddispatch.com, you have all the links you need for everything. So Bill is asking, Bill paid 1,000 sats for this
Yeah,
question,
so
and he
he's-
paid with Lightning, so we don't have to wait for it to confirm.
yeah.
Can you send a 0 sat per VByte fee and pay the Lightning invoice to get into a block? So currently, your
No.
transaction already has to be on mempool.space's mempool
So
in
would
order
is
to fee bump.
and a 0 sat per byte would not get in there.
So currently, we're just running the stock Bitcoin.
But so if they did a
core.
1 sat per byte, they could do that.
That's correct. If you do 1 sat per VByte, you can broadcast it directly to our node, and then you could accelerate it. In the future, we'll probably expand the accelerator to do a little bit more non-standard stuff. Like,
I mean, that's fine. Like they can pay 1 sat per
Also,
byte.
you have the new like mempool policy of you can CPFP group.
Child
like,
pays
it's
for
called a
parent.
package relay.
The package relay. Yeah. So you can actually have a 0 fee transaction that is getting bumped by a higher fee, and you can broadcast those two transactions together. And then suddenly the first one that's 0 sat will be a valid Bitcoin transaction. And
Well-
then you can accelerate this group together.
Let's pull it back for a second. So
Yeah,
there's currently 200,000 plus transactions that are unconfirmed.
Right.
Effectively, if you send a Bitcoin transaction, you're in a waiting list to get confirmed. That waiting list is mempools, and those mempools exist on everyone's nodes, right? And and particularly it sits on miners' nodes, and the miners are usually taking the highest fee transactions are getting included in the next block and getting confirmed.
Right.
You can imagine if you went to a restaurant and the waiting list for the restaurant was based on how much you bid to enter the restaurant, and that is how Bitcoin works, and it's how we deal with scarce block space. So, based on this concept, and based on the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, as per our earlier conversation, we actually have likely future presidents, talking about Bitcoin strategic reserves. I believe this waiting list will never clear, and there will always be a forever waiting list. The beauty of this Mempool Accelerator is that if you are stuck in the waiting list and you send a transaction and you're like number 155,000 in the line, you can just open mempool.space in your browser, click a transaction, and it'll pop up a nice little Lightning invoice, and you can just scan that Lightning invoice and you'll get into the next block. That is fucking cool, guys. Well fucking done. That is impressive.
it was a lot of work, many years of hard work to get to that point where, you can just push a button and accelerate it to the front of the line. But
Now we got Chief White with 21,000 sats. I'm going to go back to the chat on the live stream. Boom, done. That's awesome.
yeah, so the accelerator was something we built over many years. It was, of course, developing the mining dashboard functionality, the block visualization, the block audit functionality.
The block audit's key.
Yeah, absolutely, because we have to implement the accelerator in an open and transparent way to pass our, ethics rules. And so we did it to the best of our ability, putting everything in the open and making it fully auditable using our own open source software that we put out there, so that you don't have to trust Mempool Space to not do any shenanigans. You can just audit the audit that we show on Mempool Space. And so, we got a question from Bill. It would be nice to send a coin joined 1 million sat UTXO with a Lightning invoice. If it's 1 sat per view, but it breaks at UTXO. Yeah, there's probably tons of use cases that you could do with 0 sat, zero fee transactions again, right?
Well, why don't they just do a coin join transaction when they pay 1 sat per byte and boom, done?
I don't understand the question.
You'll have to
actually.
ask Bill that.
I mean, you answer the question because he spoke in caps, which says a lot just there.
No, I think he wants to keep it like a nice round number, right? Like sometimes when you look at coin joins, they're all 1 million sats, except for like one that had to pay the fees.
It had to pay the fee, right?
So it kind of ruins a little bit of the anonymity set, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I think at the end of the day, you pay. Yeah, look, we had Lebanese Hodl saying, "Fantastic UI." The design is it's exactly what you would expect. It doesn't require BTC sessions to do like a 2-hour video about it. Like it would be the most boring video because it's so obvious. Like you just go to the transaction at mempool.space and you press the accelerate button, and an invoice pops up, and then you open your Lightning wallet and you pay it. right? And I think you guys should be commended on that. Like, it's just incredibly clean UX, and it did take a lot of work and
It
many
looks very
years.
simple, but it's a huge system underneath that took a
Mm.
long time, and just getting everything to work and handle all the edge cases and the attack vectors and the
So
way
can we-
people can screw with
Yeah,
it.
can we talk about how it works a little bit?
It's
It's-
very simple.
It's
There's
a Rube
this-
Goldberg machine.
There's this built-in command in Bitcoin Core called prioritize transaction. So
Yeah.
we're sending the transaction ID to the mining pool partners with the new fee rate,
Right.
and they just call Bitcoin Core and prioritize that transaction in their mempool.
And then you pay the mining pool partners.
And after the transaction is confirmed with whoever mines that, we settle that like each month or something.
Then you send them once a month. You send them the sats, or how does that work? Is that too much information? You kind of rolled your eyes at me?
Yeah, I think the agreements with the mining pool partners are all a little bit different in those business details, but I think under the hood it's actually not simple. It's actually very very complicated because we have to do things like make sure we don't take money from North Korea. We have to make sure we don't accelerate transactions for addresses on the OFAC sanctioned OFAC list, right?
Right.
We have to make sure that your transaction is not some kind of denial of service transaction or an attack transaction or some kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, we're,
So you have to
we're
check
a
for that.
huge transaction, and then they make a refund or something, and they just
But how do they get a
Right.
refund on it?
Well, some people
charge back.
some people trust unconfirmed transactions, which they obviously shouldn't, but they do anyway. And so
So you could be the replaced by fee.
there's a lot of
Essentially,
shenanigans
right?
you can do with an
You
accelerator.
could be like a fake replaced by fee. That the replaced by fee is like actually one sat per byte and then accelerated through mempool.
There's a lot of attacks you can do, and so we spend a lot of time mitigating these things. And we don't want to break Bitcoin, right? I mean, if you call up all the mining pools and you say, "Hey, give me root on your block template generator so I can accelerate," it's a huge trust, and we can't. We take that responsibility very seriously. We can't.
So what do you say to people?
And then the pricing model is rather complex. Like,
How does the
you're a-
pricing model work?
if you're a pleb and you have a regular transaction, it's rather cheap. But as soon as you're gonna do some huge JPEG or something, you're gonna have to pay a third charge for that stuff. So
Because the transaction is larger.
yeah, so you pay like a shitcoin premium kind of thing.
The shitcoin premium.
The shitcoin premium.
No, we only do valid Bitcoin
Yeah, that's true.
transactions, but
That's
yeah.
So what do you? I mean, we're all friends here. What do you say to the people that this is an attack on Bitcoin?
If you're not attacking Bitcoin, what are you even doing with your career in this industry?
Well, I have a way of steel manning. I think Wiz has his way of.
That's the quote of
his
the
reply,
episode.
and I
by
have
the
my
way.
reply to this question. But
Okay, yeah, Simon, what's your answer?
so, like, so my answer is that this was already taking place like for several years before we launched Accelerator, but it was unknown because it was all happening behind closed
Right.
doors, dark mempools, and nobody even complained about it because they didn't even know about it.
They had no idea it was
So
existing.
suddenly we launched this world's first accelerator that is fully transparent
Right,
and auditable,
right.
and people start complaining like this is something new. It's not. We're actually making some progress in this market. But as like if you're a Bitcoin purist, you could say that this should not happen off chain. We should all use the Bitcoin protocol.
Right, everything should go through the usual
Sure.
mempool.
But
free
you can
market.
go tell that to the guy that has a stuck transaction, like a lightning close for like 6 months, and tell that guy just
Right,
use
he's
RBF.
He's like trying to deposit in fucking Cash App.
Because
or
that's
some
like the
shit,
first.
right?
That's like the first reply. Oh, just
Yeah.
use RBF, right?
Well, what is if wallet doesn't support RBF? Then you're fucked.
Right. And
Or what if he's receiving a transaction from
There's so
someone?
many- there's
He's
so
a plumber
many-
and he's just like accepting a transaction from some.
there's so many
guy
edge
that he-
cases, and like it's a very common thing with the multi-sigs and time locks, like the lightning closures, that you can't use RBF or a CPFP even if you want to, if there's no anchor output for the
Right.
lightning close. So actually, off-band fee bump is the only solution in that case.
And you guys made it super
Yeah,
transparent.
so we're actually solving a problem for people that have a problem, and that's just
Well, I think
yeah.
a lot of core developers kind of take a little bit of personal offense that the
Yeah.
fact that Mempool Accelerator can even exist.
I get it.
And
like it's like they're doing their job poorly,
right,
that you even
and I
need
don't
to exist.
I don't see it that way at all, because at the end of the day, a centralized company doing a centralized service is always going to be more efficient than a decentralized peer-to-peer network trying to do it with, no trusted party running it. And so we can always undercut, just in our MySQL database, we can do accounting a lot more efficiently than on a blockchain, right? And so I don't feel it's some flaw in Bitcoin that an out of band fee market exists. It's just the free market, and the free market is going to do what the free market's going to do. We're just trying to do our implementation in the most ethical way possible, and the most transparent and open way possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think it's an attack on Bitcoin. I think it's important for us to accept that as a valid argument and to counter it and to have open discussion about it, because it could be. And I actually think, by the way, to Ivan's question, what plumber accepts Bitcoin? If you want your plumber to accept Bitcoin, offer him 20% more if you pay him Bitcoin. He will accept Bitcoin. Then pay him in one separate bite, and he will need to use the Mempool Accelerator in order to get his transaction confirmed. And now we've hit the use case. I think Wiz made a good point. To me, I think privately, and I'll just share this publicly, and I don't think you will mind me sharing it publicly. If not us, then who is the answer? And it's if we don't make it a transparent, auditable process, someone else will do it in a dark way, because the need exists. The need exists regardless. If you believe mempools will never clear again, if you believe that Bitcoin transaction volume increases with adoption, and that Bitcoin block space is scarce, then people will come up with way worse methods of handling this use case. And I think you guys handle it in a very ethical and responsible way.
Well, not only that, but all of the transaction accelerators that existed before Mempool Accelerator were essentially created during the block space wars, and they were intentionally made as shitty as possible to serve as like propaganda for Bcash, right? They wanted to show how terrible Bitcoin is with its full mempool and full blocks, and it was all part of this propaganda. And after the block size wars, those transaction accelerators were still there with their terrible pricing models and opaque everything, and it didn't make any sense. Terrible UI, and they never improved them. But the mempool got full again, and that's the only thing that the Bitcoin community had for acceleration, was these terrible accelerators. And so, yeah, we had to step in and raise the bar and say, this is how you would do it properly if you are a real Bitcoiner, right? You would do it open source, you would do it transparent, you would let anybody audit what you're doing, you'd partner with all the best mining pools and make well, I call it like a marketplace. But essentially, when someone accelerates a transaction on Mempool space, we relay that request to all the mining pool partners, and whoever mines it gets the money. And that way, we can accelerate with a much larger percentage of hash power than you would have from just accelerating on a single mining pool.
And then the individual like every mining pool is not just one miner. The individual miners are able to actually see the block audits, see the transparency, and make sure that the mining pool operator is not just taking that VIG and not distributing it out to the rest of them, right? Like that's a key part.
I mean, that's the decision of the pool operator to how to redistribute funds. I mean, there's other solo miners. Like I think Mara is just mining using their own hash power, right? So they don't have to.
But I'm saying for the ones that aren't, like that's one of the key aspects of the block audit, right? Like that's why you guys provide these.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what each individual pool operator does in terms of redistributing these out of band fees to the individual miners. Some might just keep it. Some might pay it out as negative fees. Some might redo their FPPS calculations.
Right.
It seems like a lot of them haven't even figured this out yet, and they're just kind of starting and seeing how it goes. We're still very early with this accelerator. It's only been live for a few weeks now in the closed beta.
And like
now,
publicly, like what, 3 days or something?
yeah, I mean, the conference was like 2 days ago. We turned on Google Pay and Apple Pay, and now anyone can.
Oh wait, you can just pay with Apple Pay now?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a wallet with Lightning in it, that's certainly the best.
I mean, that's how I've done it.
But yeah, if you have Cash App Pay or Apple Pay or Google Pay.
Currently, most are paying with Apple Pay, actually. And
Really?
it's understandable that if you're a regular plan,
That's insane.
and you have a stuck transaction, you probably don't have a Lightning wallet prepared.
And they just pay with Apple Pay.
Yeah.
I think one of the cool parts about it is like you can just like, if you're maybe a little bit drunk, you're just feeling charitable, you can just like you go to mempool.space, you just accelerate some randos transaction. It's like, oh, nice, I got confirmed.
That's actually
you pay with
what
Lightning
I always
invoice.
do for testing the service is I go deep in the mempool and I find some plebs transactions has been stuck for months.
Yeah, I'm gonna accelerate him.
Use that for a test case.
Yeah,
instead of just making one and wasting.
That's kind of awesome, right?
Yeah.
And you feel good about it.
I mean, I'm just trying to fix my thing.
I feel like that's like the charity of the future, like Mr. Beast of like 20. You know Mr. Beast?
Of course.
He just like builds wells for Africans and shit. Like that's his identity.
He would totally just go and accelerate like 1,000 people.
Just random people. Yeah. It's just like, I'm gonna pick. You get a car. You get a car.
But it's a zero fee. Like if you're accelerating a transaction, you're displacing another transaction from the next block. So
it's actually kind of fucked up.
Well, that's how scarcity
It's like
works.
a deep ethical question. I mean, some asshole's going to write like 1,000-page book on this about the ethics of accelerating random person's transaction. I'm not going to buy it.
Don't make me think about it that deep.
Okay, sorry. Guys, do you think so right now there are 200,000 transactions waiting to be confirmed. And I lost my mouse. Where's my mouse?
Right there.
But next block is like 4 sats per byte. For whatever reason, a shit ton of hash has joined the network, probably because they listened to former President Trump's speech and they're like, I need Bitcoin in my strategic reserve, and they just all jumped on. So the next difficulty adjustment is going to be 11% jump. And Mempool right now is actually predicting that for 31 hours. So it's about to happen. And usually in these periods, Mempools decrease in amount of transactions. I think it's been over a year now that Mempools have not cleared. I have famously.
It's not going to clear again.
I was asking. That was my question. Did you agree with me that Mempools will never clear again?
Yeah, now it won't clear. I mean, we are, if it was like normal, like a few years ago, like no weird stuff in the mempool would totally be clear now. But now we have these runes and stuff, and there are people mining tokens by just spamming transactions. So the whole mempool, like 200,000, you don't have 200,000 people out there sitting and waiting for a transaction. Their transaction. It's like one guy, 10 guy making tens of thousands of those transactions each as like a rune token mint thing.
So you agree with me, but
yeah, I think it's like they are like the buyer of block space, like the last resort buyer of block space are these rune miners, minters. So as soon as the fees start to go down again, they will ramp up their minting, so it will never clear.
Yeah, I remember people would laugh at Odell on Twitter for saying that Mempools would never clear again.
Yeah, this was before I deleted.
Remember?
Yeah.
No, but remember, like Caps Odell was tweeting out things like the Mempool fees are designed to pump forever, and obviously we're working on the Mempool open source project. We understand that, arguably better than anyone, but like. People were really laughing at Odell. They're like, this is crazy. People were betting against you. I mean, how many sats did Marty have to pay you?
We actually have a current bet out. Like he's going to owe me 1 million sats next halving.
I thought it was the end of last year or something.
I actually briefly lost that bet and then I doubled down. but we have 1 million sats outstanding right now.
About Mempool never clearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to win it.
I made back my money on the rebets, but I never got any money from him. So Trinity actually owes me a round of golf.
Wow.
So I got that going for me. I think I made maybe 200,000 sats altogether, but I have 1 million sats outstanding with Marty for next leap year, which is always during halvings. I think
suppose-
it was kind of beautiful that Satoshi made leap years. Like leap years are always halving years.
I suppose if you are running an accelerator, you're inherently betting that the mempool will never clear again. So I'm obviously.
I think we seriously have to consider if we're just gonna just purge all the 1 sat per VByte transactions from our mempools, because they're just hanging there and they're never gonna confirm.
No, but we can accelerate those now.
No, people accelerate 1 sat per VBytes all the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
why are we going to purge them?
Yeah, why would you purge them?
For
That's our
6
money.
months and they're never going to confirm again. So,
but now the accelerator exists, they can.
No, that's the floor.
True.
Why don't you just delete the whole mempool then?
Yeah, why one? Why not 2 sat per byte?
Yeah, well, why would you make?
So that seems like a slippery slope.
We should re-enable our timeout, because I think there's a default timeout thing in the Bitcoin. It
was like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and we removed our timeout completely. That's why we have transactions that have been stuck for over 6-8 months.
The reason we disabled the timeout is because we were planning to launch an acceleration service that would be able to accelerate these stuck transactions. And so if you expire them from our mempool, they would.
Well, then they can recreate a new one with a higher fee. That's another option.
I mean, I think the cool part is with your accelerator is that it's legit. It's like a perfectly free market. Like you can just pay exactly what is needed to get into the next block if you need to get in the next block.
Yep.
And the market basically dictates that price. And a person shouldn't dictate that price, because if a person can dictate it, then we'll have corruption, we'll have greed. Like the whole system breaks down to a degree, and you guys have added a compelling option to that aspect.
It was always kind of there. It's just that no one built the tools to really add an arbitrary fee bump on any transaction that simply and easily, and taking various payment methods and just putting all the pieces together. Like it was always possible, right?
Yeah. By the way, freaks,
the purge.
I didn't stop this is the first dispatch that's not broadcasted to Twitter ever. And it's not for ideological reasons. I actually left the Citadel Dispatch account up just for broadcasts. It's because I was right. And to broadcast to Twitter, it requires KYC now. And I would have to get a blue check to broadcast to Twitter. And that's why it's just YouTube and Nostr now. So feel free to just, if you're still on Twitter, like send out a tweet real quick. Just say, Odell was right, period. And then send the tweet. Then just sit there for a second. Just like think about your life choices. Just sit there for a little bit, like think. And then delete your Twitter and then go Nostr only. I think that's the way you should handle that.
Can Bitcoin survive without a working CoinJoin implementation?
Yeah, what's your answer to that? By the way, are we answering questions that are only 1,000 saps, or should we fee bump it? I feel like if you want your question answered, it should be at least 2,000 sats. But we'll answer this one because we just increased the floor. What is your answer to this question?
I don't even know what coin joining is.
We have a working coin join implementation right now, and it's join market. Right. And the easiest way to use join market is you have to self-host it by design, but the easiest way to use it is using Start9. I think the easiest way to run a mempool self-hosted is also probably Start9.
One-click installation.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy their hardware, pay them any money. You can just, I have one right here. You see this desktop? Like it's just, I didn't pay Start9 shit. I'm just running StartOS on that. It's complete overkill. The fans are actually whirring right now. Can you hear the fans?
Oh yeah, we can hear it. So actually,
They can hear the fans. Wiz is offended that he can hear
I'm
the
not
fans.
offended.
This is perfectly soundproof.
it's just
studio.
we're in this like super nice recording studio, and we got this like power PC over.
That's my Node
running.
running join market transactions.
No, so speaking of Start 9, we're about to ship Mempool 3.0, which will be everything you see on Mempool space, more or less, but with running on your own node, of course, for Umbrel and Start 9 and all the self-hosted platforms out there. And it will, if you enable the feature, integrate with Mempool Accelerator. So everything you're browsing on your own local Bitcoin node will stay the same as always, but you'll have that accelerate button there where you'll be able to get a QR code and zap some lightning sats directly from your own node to accelerate transactions directly from your own node.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a couple more days. I think we're just waiting for some translators to finish some string translation. So maybe in the next day or so we can bump that out.
That's cool.
So if you're a translator for the Mempool open source project, everyone is waiting for you.
Oh, look, Brian figured out. Brian, I don't know how to attach a zap to the question in Amethyst. Does all caps make you happier? Bitcoin Bandit, you didn't pay anything. I can't answer the question. Yeah, of course, all caps makes you happier. I'll answer it. I mean, it's important to speak clearly. I'm amazed that you can get into the next block at 4 sat per byte.
Odell, have you been spamming the chain to win the bet? Asks Ivan.
No, I don't have to.
Yeah, why is it?
I don't think people realize, like, I send more Bitcoin transactions than you. Like, it's better for me. I would make way more money if I can just if I could just pay 1 sat per byte and it just gets confirmed. Like, Mempool's not clearing it's almost like I'm doing the first fee market insurance scheme. Like, I'm trying to get insurance on all of the Bitcoin transactions I'm gonna have to make in my lifetime by making this bet. And Marty is not liquid enough to make a large enough bet with me that will pay for all of my future transaction fee burden. So I'm actually still short Mempool's never clearing again. I would like that.
We have to correct you on your terminology. It's not a transaction fee market. It's a block space market and a mempool space market.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
That's what Merch says.
I mean, a block space is finite, right? And the amount of users of Bitcoin is effectively infinite if everyone has children and they have children.
We stack for our children, and our children will stack for their children.
I love that. I think who said that?
Matt Odell.
All caps.
Caps Odell.
Yeah, we stack for our children and they will stack for their children.
You're one of those high IQ people Trump mentioned. You are one of those.
No, I'm the left curve. I'm on the left curve. I think it's like very basic logic. What do you think about MZ's question? Ride or die
paid
freak
the sufficient fee
with 2.1 thousand sats asking why are so many wizards in Bitcoin?
There's only one.
I didn't see any wizards.
There's only one whiz in Bitcoin.
There's only one Wiz. What is your opinion on the Israeli tech company named Wiz that was purchased by Google recently?
I cannot comment on pending litigation.
Huge breaking.
Any other questions?
Yeah, guys, feel free to hit us with questions. I'm gonna hit them with questions if you don't hit us with questions.
Hit it.
So did you guys see Michael Saylor's 21-year prediction for Bitcoin?
No.
Was it like $45 million in
I think
20 years or something?
I think his bear case was $3 million.
I mean, by that
coin.
point, a beer is going to cost $100 or something, right? Like
his major case was what is he? Is he just he's Saylor? Let's see. Okay, here it is. I got it. 2045, right? 21 years from now. Bear case, $3 million per Bitcoin. Base case, $13 million per Bitcoin. Bull case, $49 million per Bitcoin. How do you guys feel about this?
Why is he so bearish?
Yeah, that's
There's
what I
an
said.
infinite
What is-
number of money in the
Why is he
Federal
only
Reserve.
talking about price? People care about price.
What, you don't care about price? I think price is the most important metric.
Okay.
I'm in it for the tech, and I measure it by price.
Oh, okay.
Is that a ridiculous concept?
Wait, can I have another beer?
Yeah, have another beer. 2045, $49 million per Bitcoin. Have another beer. Yeah, how much is a loaf of bread in Sailor's Future? 1,000 sats.
Yeah, $100.
Right, that's the correct answer. Whatever, the
Right?
same number, even less sats than it costs now, right?
Yeah, it's like 45 sats for a loaf of bread. Sailor will never be the first trillionaire because Satoshi will be the first trillionaire.
Isn't like Satoshi already the richest person in the world?
Probably. Do you think he walks among us? Do you think he was at the conference? Do you think he was on the live? No, he definitely wasn't on the live desk. Do you think he was watching the live desk? Do you think if he was at the conference, do you think he was in the main stage or do you think he was in the expo hall watching the live desk? Do you think he's in the live chat? Probably not because we've only been zapped like 40,000 sats. Do you think he's on the couch? It's literally just MZ.
No, I think
Ivan zapped 45 sats. Definitely not Satoshi. Satoshi would have zapped more.
What do you think would happen to fiat in the short term if RFK won and actually started stacking towards 4 million Bitcoin?
I mean, that's ridiculous. First of all, RFK will never win. Second of all, that's ridiculous.
Well, the price would go up. So that's a simple answer.
I think zap shaming. Yeah, I am zap shaming you. I love you, freaks. You're all ride or dies. I got to shake many of your hands this
Craig
week.
wasn't there, so no.
But we also have no ads, so a man's got to eat. And I'm trying to stack my strategic Bitcoin reserve for my family. By the way, I love that. We're all calling it strategic Bitcoin reserve from now. It's not Bitcoin treasury.
Stockpile.
It's not like your savings. It's just like my whole life is just accumulating my strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's a strong meme. I really like that Senator Lummis called it the Louisiana Purchase. I mean, her state, Wyoming, is in the land of. They paid like $10 million for like half of America. It feels similar. But yeah, 4 million Bitcoin. I mean, 1 million Bitcoin. The market has barely moved on a 1 million Bitcoin bill, like a bill that says like straight up, we are going to accumulate 1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, the market's not moving. The mempool is completely dead. It's like the whole world is sleeping on Bitcoin. Like,
yeah, what's going on?
The network
guys?
is global. Anyone in the world can just get a wallet and make a transaction. And yet, I don't know what people are doing.
They just don't care about their kids.
We're early or something.
45
I think
sats.
we're early. That's what it is.
Are we? We're still early.
People are not using Bitcoin yet.
It feels like every time we come on Matt's show, it's like we're saying the same thing. So the fees will pump forever. We are so early. We stack for our children. What happens if the state does X? Right?
That's
like
true.
And it's kind of interesting to think back what we said a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, remember the first Citadel Dispatch we went on? Must have been 3 or 4 years ago, like episode 4 or something like that. And it was just me and Simon talking about the Mempool open source project. And now we're still talking about the Mempool open source project.
Yep. And the fees are still low.
And the fees are 4 sats per VBO.
I would say the single biggest thing RFK said was not the 4 million Bitcoin. It was the cap gains treatment, which I think he
legal tender, right?
He might have pushed the Overton window on that one because I did not even think, or like just say Rod is in charge of Illuminati here at the park.
He is not.
Yeah, he's the head. Like he deals. with the local politicians and stuff. I didn't know that was something I could ask for. Like I didn't think we could remove cap gains treatment. Wow, we got a
You think everyone
look.
moved to
Ride or
Bitcoin?
die
That's
freak
why the fees
MZ
are
gave
low.
21,000 sats.
21,000 sats. Here, have a beer.
Yeah. Yeah, you get
I'll deliver it to you for 21,000.
free beer for MZ. And Josh zapped 10,000 sats. Cap gains tax. I mean, that is
True
a
that.
big limiter for
Dude,
people.
in Japan, they have unrealized cap gains tax.
I mean, Bitcoin's perfect for unrealized cap gains.
So
tax.
it's like they
that.
print
Don't tell
more
the politicians that.
The unrealized cap gains are in the fiat denominated
Right.
currency. So like they print more money and they're like, aha, your Bitcoin went up in our fiat.
Yeah.
So
now
you
owe
got
us
it, and
more
it's
money.
unrealized again. So you have to pay it. You're like,
Yeah,
what?
And the
that's
beauty
true.
of Bitcoin for them is that it's completely liquid, so you can pay it. Like if they do unrealized cap gains for like real estate, like what are you gonna do? Like sell your house to pay it? Like that's insane. Like it's not liquid. Are you gonna sell your Apple stock to pay it?
Thank God we don't own any Bitcoin now.
Yeah, and don't
Yeah.
live in a country with capital gains tax.
Good thing I don't have a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
But you could like set up a family office in El Salvador or somewhere.
They have cap gains, right?
No, not on Bitcoin.
Do they not?
In El Salvador? No, Bitcoin is the legal tender. That's why they can't have cap gains on it.
Yeah, but the difference is like if you're in El Salvador and you say something bad about Bukele, you just die in jail. But like at least you're not cap gained.
Is that how it works?
Is that how it works?
I don't know. I haven't been to.
I don't know. I don't mean to like forbid you guys from going to El Salvador. I'm not going to be too.
I went there. It was quite nice.
The beaches are nice. The people are good.
No, I think
But that's a little bit of concern.
Yeah, go to Puerto Rico for no cap gains.
Yeah, if you're American, you can move to Puerto Rico, and
Right,
for
right,
10
I know
years,
that.
you pay no federal cap gains
Well,
tax.
there's a long list of countries that had no cap gains to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
There's
but
a
Puerto
lot of
Rico is
people
like a
moving-
special beast because in the U.S., if you move to like Portugal, for instance,
Yeah.
you still have to pay U.S. cap gains tax. But if you move to Puerto Rico, you don't.
Okay, for America.
But the locals still have to pay it. So
Yeah,
the local, like it's like a weird dichotomy, kind of fucked up thing that goes on over there. And there's like a very much a class system that has developed as, but like here's the key, right? Like you move to Puerto Rico, you don't pay cap gains tax. And the way you repent is you just walk up to local Puerto Ricans and you say, do you have a transaction stuck in the mempool? And then you just pay their acceleration fee. And that way
you don't have to pay.
you give
cap
back.
gains.
Yeah, you give back. You give back to local Puerto Ricans.
That's true.
Okay, so Josh is asking. Josh actually gave 10,000 sats, so he has banked 5 questions.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, 2,000 sats per question. He banked 5 questions.
That means MZ's got like.
Yeah, MZ. By the way, MZ, you have 10 questions if you have questions for us, but you have to put in the chat.
But can't you outbid? I thought you outbid each other. So like you put 20K sats on a question that'll bump out a guy.
No, we're not bump. This is the mempool. The mempool of Citadel Dispatch is not full. Hopefully one day it will never clear again, but we're not there yet.
Simon ever retired?
No. We have to answer Josh's question first. So Josh is asking, what's your guys' goats and other stuff? Do you know the origin story of goats and other stuff?
No.
So you know what Nostr stands for, right?
Yeah.
Notes and other stuff, right? So do you remember Balaji's prediction of
Yes.
$1 million Bitcoin in 90 days?
Yes.
So me and Marty were talking about it on Rabbit Hole Recap, right? And Marty was like, I was like making fun of Balaji. I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, it was kind of redeeming for me, right? Because a lot of people gave me shit for 200K by conference day, and I'll never make another price prediction again. And honestly, we would have gotten it if it wasn't for SBF and his meddling kids. But that's besides the point. Like, I'm not gonna blame other people for it.
Sure.
Marty was like, but what if Balaji's right? What if we get 1 million Bitcoin, $1 million per Bitcoin in 90 days? And my immediate reaction was like, Rabbit Hole Recap's over. I'm just gonna do goats and other stuff. I'm gonna get like 1,000 acres. I'm gonna get goats, cows,
So you'd be
horses.
like a farmer.
Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy fucking life.
Okay,
If we got like $1 million Bitcoin in 90 days, like the whole world is over, like changed, you know, like we're in a whole new paradigm, and like I don't want to be a public Bitcoin about it. So like, what is your goats and other stuff like after Bitcoin? Like, or like, let's say we hit. Odell price predictions for Gallon.
No, running the mempool is such a honor and serious responsibility, and it's like we don't do it for the money. We do it because we love to work to
So
contribute to
if
Bitcoin.
we hit $1 million Bitcoin in 90 days, you're just gonna continue running Mempool Accelerator.
I mean,
I basically already retired, so I can start working on Bitcoin stuff. And I started working on Bitcoin stuff, which means I built Mempool.
So you're already
now
doing the goats and
this
other
is
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. This is
the goats and other stuff.
exactly. We're working on Bitcoin every day.
Okay, respect. Josh, you have 4 more questions. Well, Wiz. Okay, so you
We
just
answered the same question.
You answered Cypher Hodlam's question as well.
Where is Mononaut? Asks Rob.
Nim Kappa's question was, wait, you guys have Bitcoins?
Who said that?
Nim Kappa asked if you
There's
guys have
some
Bitcoins.
troll. Don't ignore.
No. He paid 2,000 sats. Do you guys have Bitcoins?
I
Wait,
mean, we have boating accidents quite frequently.
Wait, so actually, I have a better question for you. Is the plural of Bitcoin Bitcoins? Or is it like, do you have 10 Bitcoins or 10 Bitcoin? I mean, not you,
I don't
but
have
like,
any Bitcoin.
okay, so if you see a transaction, wait, so what does Mempool do? Like,
1 coin, 2 coins.
if you go to mempool.space and the transaction, is it 10 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoins?
We display it in Sats or BTC.
Yeah, so BTC, is it BTCs?
No. Just like it's not USD.
Okay, so I'm right. Okay, so it should just be Bitcoin. Okay, we got that. Okay, we got Rob Ham underpaying, saying, you guys need me to run more beers. Also, where is Mononaut?
Yeah, Mononaut is.
Yes,
really
we need
cares
you to
about-
run more beers.
Yeah, can we
Where's
get some more
Mononaut?
beers, Rob? That would be great.
Where's Mononaut?
Mononaut is chained to a desk in our office. We don't let him out.
Also, he cares about his OPSEC a lot. He would need like voice scrambler. The
We can do that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we should do that, huh?
Yeah, Mempool's just like Mempool can sponsor voice scramblers for.
We should have like the whole team on. We should get like Kappa and Mononaut.
Did you
Who's
hear
that
the
guy on the sofa over there?
Did you hear the voltage one? It was like 13 people.
What? 13 people on dispatch?
Yeah, it was
No
insane.
way.
I think it was the most people on any podcast that's ever existed. It was the best podcast.
All right.
There's been no better podcast.
So let's do the next one next year. Whenever we do it, we'll get the whole Mempool team out.
And we'll get voice scramblers. I like voice scramblers. Okay, what about the Great Gazoo? Thank you for helping me understand this technology. There's no question. I appreciate this app. Right, there's no question there.
But he paid a sufficient sats, so we should comment.
Answer?
We should answer.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for using the Mempool Space website.
No, we didn't get the money. Matt got the money, so we have.
I mean,
thank you for supporting Citadel Dispatch.
I mean, it's big. I think that's like kind of supports you guys.
Okay.
Right. You appreciate it. The Great Kazoo, all good boys. There we go. Josh, by the way, you have 4 more questions. I think MZ has 10 questions remaining. MZ, you got any questions for us? Yeah, MZ says he only has answers.
Hey, is there anybody listening who uses testnet 4? If so, comment on the chat.
Can we accelerate testnet 4 on mempool.space?
Well, the mempool is empty, but yeah, we should make that just for the lulz, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to spend on Apple Pay to accelerate my testnet transactions.
You could pay with testnet 4 Bitcoin. Testnet 4 sats to accelerate on testnet.
Yeah, or testnet 1 through 3 or Bitcoin.
Testnet 1 through 3.
It's kind of questionable. It's a slippery slope. You guys have no questions, really? I got the.
Well, it's because you didn't tweet it out, so they're all on Twitter.
Did you tweet it out?
I did tweet it out.
Okay, so what happened? You have a gold check.
I'm not.
Can we talk about the Twitter Nostr thing?
Okay.
Because I feel like you look down on me for it.
What? Why do you think?
Because you're a Twitter maxi.
I hardly use Twitter.
I mean, you're clearly like. How much social media do you have? What other social media? Are you on LinkedIn? Did you link? What is it called, a LinkedIn post? Did you LinkedIn post this episode?
What?
Why are you
looking
at me?
Why you gotta be like that?
Why are you looking at me?
Why you gotta be like that? I don't have LinkedIn.
I retweeted this episode on my Nostr.
We know you're not on Twitter, Matt, so I tweeted.
But what other social medias are you on? Are you on TikTok?
I'm not that young. I'm much
Did you-
older. I'm not the TikTok
Did
generation.
you send it to your WhatsApp group chats?
I don't have a WhatsApp.
What other are you on no other social media besides
I'm
Twitter?
on Prime. I mean, I'm Nostr.
Nostr?
Yeah.
Did we get you primal.net/Wiz? Or you
Yes.
primal.net/Wiz?
Million is amazing, and he did that without
Isn't
even
he great?
asking. Yes.
So primal.net/Wiz, you can follow Wiz over there. I'm also primal.net/Odell. Do we have?
Of course you are.
And also, this show is primal.net/Citadel.
And guess what happens if you go to primal.net/mempool?
Yeah, what happens if you go there?
Well, you get to the mempool.
Oh wow, the Wiz profile is great. You look great.
What?
You look really good on that.
What do you mean? It's just my.
I think you look great.
Oh man, I trolled Will so hard on this.
What?
He tweeted out the video.
Oh, primal.net/mempool. That looks good. By the way, I'm in all caps. If you do all caps, it still works. Yacht Rock season. Yeah, it is Yacht Rock season.
Testnet 4 Accelerator will require a Testnet 4 Lightning network. So it's a full Testnet 4 circular economy. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, Rob is one of our best resources here at Bitcoin Park. He's a local Nashvilleian now. He moved his whole family here.
Oh, Rob and I co-founded Testnet 4 along with Fabian.
Yeah, it's like it's a product of the Illuminati. I only use me.
It was a we had a closed door meeting. We made a backroom deal. We sacrificed the goat and other stuff.
So why can't we accelerate transactions via Nostr yet?
Because nobody's ever requested such a.
Well, Ivan just requested it. That's why I asked the question.
Oh, so like if you just like post a TXID on Nostr with a zap along with it, that
Yeah.
should just fee bump it.
We should just be able to zap the Mempool
Like at
account.
Mempool with the TXID
Yeah.
and zap sat, that should just fee bump.
Social acceleration.
How
Or
big of
like
a
what if
market
I
How big of a market?
what if I do like a Nostr post and I'm like, please sir, mi familia, and then I put the TXID and then someone else zaps it.
Zap it? Yeah, that makes sense. There's like social
Acceleration. You like that, right? Yeah, see, Greg Kazoo would use that. I heard a comedian got jumped after our RHR. I didn't know about that. That sucks. I liked him. He was good. Did you guys go to the live rabbit hole recap?
Yes, we were both there.
Oh yeah, I heard about that actually. Yeah.
Did you actually hear about that?
Yeah, I got something stolen. Yeah.
That's fucked up. I mean, he talked a big game. He said he was always carrying these, like fat was in his folds.
He talked a lot of shit. Yeah.
Damn. Well, RHR was I didn't hear about that. We had a sold out show, 600 people. We had David Lucas there. He was roasting us from Kill Tony. He's a little bit brutal, but he's a good dude. He meant well. He told me he was going to sell all his shitcoins for Bitcoin, but maybe not if a Bitcoiner jumped him. That's fucked up.
So was it really the last RHR ever?
No, of course not. That was just a running joke.
Oh, because What Bitcoin Did had a last episode, so you had to have the same one?
No, it's because Thomas from PubKey said that we weren't selling enough tickets and we were at like half sold like 4 weeks ago. And on RHR, I was just like, oh, it's going to be, I just started doing Trumpism. So it was like, going to be the best RHR ever. I was like, it's the last RHR ever. And then we just kept running with it. But like we had clues there that it was obviously not going to be the last rabbit hole recap. I mean, the most recent rabbit hole recap, we literally said that the winner of the hot dog eating contest would be on the next rabbit hole recap. Like that's impossible if it's the last one ever. Like you just don't just verify. Like there's clues there. And also it's a $50 ticket, so I don't feel like I scammed anybody. And it was a great show. I thought it was a lot of fun.
$50?
Yeah, we had a mariachi band.
It was a great show, and I tried to get some friends on it. The tickets were sold out. So
Yeah,
good job.
sold out crowd. MZ. RHR rug pull. No, it wasn't a rug pull. You have 9 questions left. He didn't get jumped, but I thought you were going to get him jumped for his roast. No, it was all love there. It was we invited him down. Like we brought him down. It was a whole thing. We're happy to have him. I thought he was going to roast you guys and not us. But I'm a team player. The only thing that pissed me off when he said I looked like I was from Connecticut or Rhode Island, and as a New Yorker, that's like probably the most offensive thing you can say to someone. So I told him to fuck off. Like that is, I think, a completely reasonable response.
So
He said Marty looked like an AI generated real estate agent. Which I thought was fucking
that's a pretty
hilarious.
good
But it was good. He surprisingly owned Bitcoin. I assumed he didn't own Bitcoin, so I like that. Oh yeah, this is a good question. So MZ has 8 questions left now. What is the official way to display the mempool and blocks on mempool.space? Mempool right or left side? I mean, the official way is obvious.
Yeah, the default.
Mempool's on the left
Official.
side, right?
It's a user preference.
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong answer. It is for each user to decide on their own.
I like it on the left side because we read left to right.
Exactly. That's the reason why
Yeah,
it
but
is the
other
way it is.
people disagree, and that's why it's a preference. I
Yeah.
mean, Gigi was
Yeah, the argument is that time flows the other way.
Yeah, how do I flip it? I press this button.
Hmm.
Yeah, nope, that didn't work. Did that work?
I think
There, you have 2 arrows now to choose from. Ones that flip it the other way.
What does the top one do?
Yeah, that's right.
fees
I know. What is
versus
it? What is it doing?
bytes.
Oh, I see what it's doing. Oh, it's just changing it. Okay.
Yeah, so that is the next question. Like,
It looks
people
weird. I
prefer
don't
to
like
see
the other
the
way.
size of the blocks or the fees of the blocks. It's a big controversy.
It's not
In
a
the
big
mem-
controversy.
created-
Is it a
I
big?
created the
Is it
controversy.
an internal controversy?
You're literally the only person
It was
who wants.
all. It's for all these years. Always show the size of the blocks, like 1 megabyte, 2 megabytes, and then everyone decided it should just switch it to default showing the fees, and I didn't agree.
It's called dying on the hillside.
You didn't agree?
I still don't agree.
Wait, so it shows the fees by default, and you want to show the size of the
Yeah,
block?
because that's how it always like. Just check the mempool mod.
No,
that we
but
already shipped out.
one day it's just going to be all pretty much all the same size, and then
Mm.
the fees is all that matters.
Mm.
Is this the argument? Are you guys?
I'm so glad you brought this up, Simon, so that we can
Okay,
have
okay,
this
okay.
discussion on air.
Look,
But
as
let's
one of
say-
the large, I think we're the largest investor in Mempool. Like, you should come to me with these internal debates, and I'm happy to weigh
Hear me
in
out.
privately.
Hear me out. Let's say you're a regular average Bitcoin user. You just care about your transaction. You go to Mempool space. You want to learn about the Bitcoin blockchain, how it works, and you see some random numbers that representing the fees. Who
Yeah.
cares? They don't.
I care.
understand.
That's
It's-
what I care about.
It looks technical, looks weird, but if you see this is a block, it's 1 megabyte, it's 2 megabytes. That is very intuitive to explain. Like, this is a block, 2 megabytes big, and this is how it's always been. This is like,
No, I disagree. You're wrong about this.
oh, okay. Well,
humbly. I respect your opinion. I understand what you're saying.
mm,
It's kind of cool to understand how big the block, but they're all going to be the same size at some point. You realize that, right?
they're not
Like right now, it's interesting.
same.
They're going to all be full.
Remember
Yeah, they're all full right now already, and they're like between 1 and 2 megabytes.
So remember when we had in very early days, the mempool was always empty, basically, and we had the mempool graph, that rainbow graph,
Yeah.
was upside down, and you had the dotted line,
No, that was confusing.
Right.
right? And once the mempool became full all the time, that was became completely useless because
Yeah.
the mempool's full all the time. So why would you want to see that dotted line?
It's the same we had it on the dashboard, right? And it was just showing this
Right.
huge rainbow.
And then, yeah, it's even later after that, when it was the correct orientation for a full mempool environment, it was so full that it was just this rainbow, and
Right.
it was kind of useless. So then we replaced it with the mempool goggles, which is much more.
I love the Mempool goggles.
Yeah, that was Mononaut's beautiful visualization and
Mm.
the ability to highlight or
Oh, that's so nice.
certain types of transactions.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean, over time the mempool changes, and that's why we switched it from bytes to sats.
I think Josh has banked a couple questions. What do you guys think of Fedimint?
Is he asking about Fedimint specifically or ecash in general? Like
I mean, he
cashier?
literally said, "What do you all think of Fedimint?"
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you can answer both questions. I'm curious.
I guess it's a good idea. as
you,
a optional.
you don't sound very optimistic on it.
It's an optional way of like scaling Bitcoin or something, but
I
it
mean, it's
hasn't
not
really
scaling
taken off.
Bitcoin; it's making custodians better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it's making
Like our
safer
ETF
custodian.
scaling Bitcoin. I think Callie does a good job with this. He never says it's scaling Bitcoin. It's not scaling solution.
Yeah, but it's just
It's improving custodians.
But it is scaling though. If a whole village just uses Fedimints
Yeah.
within themselves, they are actually not making.
Oh, what if
on-chain
a whole village uses IBIT like BlackRock ETF? Is
That's
that
true.
scaling?
Yeah, it is. Why not?
I mean, this goes
Okay.
back to like the whole liquid federation debate. You know, liquid, you peg in, and then you get this IOU token,
Hmm.
and it's custodial to the federation, and you have this 11 of 15 multi-sig or whatever it is, and you're trusting the federation not to rug you. You're trusting the Fedimint not to rug you. And actually, liquid is fully auditable, but correct me if I'm wrong. The ecash, you
Yeah,
can't really.
I actually spoke to Eric, and he actually gave me some more confidence that you can actually audit the
I don't
Fedimint.
believe that.
You can just call an API, and it shows you the whole log of all the transactions.
But how do you know that's legit?
You can't. And that's why they're building like a system. Like every 6 months or so, all the ecash gets burned and recreated. That means if you have some dark fake created out of thin air, those will expire.
Yeah.
So it's like a 6 months audit thing, and you can see the log.
I mean, I think the real audit is like we should just run the banks all the time.
You know, it's
Right?
really ironic.
Let's just run them.
You know what's really ironic to me is like we supported liquid since the early days when the mempool was empty and nobody cared about liquid, and that was
no one
fine.
gave a shit.
But now, like ecash and Fedimints, which you can't even fully audit like you can with liquid.
Yeah, but ecash has better properties.
No, but like
Well-
if your concern is the ruggability, all right, MZ has some strong.
Yeah, the
opinions.
I mean,
ruggability is
MZ already
the
posed the
issue.
question like, "Are you a
Also-
Bitcoiner if you use a Fedimint?"
The problem is also
He's
that
got 8
it's not-
questions
they are not
left.
protected from regulatory capture, and that's probably the biggest issue. Like the Fedimints are gonna require KYC in the long term.
No, but I mean, there will be many of them, and you can just swap between them really easily.
So you mean that you're gonna run and try to hide from the government or run in a?
Well, maybe we won't have to. Like, I mean, maybe Trump likes the Fedimints. They're the best.
Executive
We want all
order.
the Fedimints in the United States.
It's
Execu-
possible, but then all custodians are gonna be KYC free. Is that what you're saying? Kraken, Coinbase.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. No, I mean, no, I'm not saying that.
Well, what's the
But
threat
so-
model here? Is it the
RFK said that we're not going to have cap gains tax. So, like, maybe, maybe Bank Secrecy Act is like Bitcoin 2025. Like,
okay? But
politicians are just going to be on stage like, we're getting rid of the Bank Secrecy Act.
so
on
the
America.
question was, what do you think of Fedimint? And am I responsible? Well, what's the threat model? Is it the self custody or custodial nature where you can get rugged, or is it the privacy nature? And so if you're making this huge trade-off of trusting a third party to custody your funds so you can have some privacy, that's your decision. But there's probably better ways to achieve that.
No, I agree with Ivan actually that Trump likes KYC and we can dream. And I agree with Bill Monroe that says we don't want the CCP running all the Fedimints. Also, it doesn't really matter if the CCP runs the Fedimints because the beauty is the custodian can't see the transactions. I would say the real question is, if we're pragmatic, people are using custodial solutions regardless. So if they're using Wallet of Satoshi, I would rather which by the way doesn't require KYC.
Yeah, no audit.
And there's no audit. I would rather they have privacy from that custodian and it was interoperable and you could use it in a programmable way. Like one of the cool parts about ecash is that the IOU itself is self-custody. It's still an IOU.
Sure.
But you have ownership over that IOU in a cryptographically verifiable way. So you can program it in interesting ways. And like all of a sudden you can start to do zaps and shit in really cool ways when you integrate Nostr. And I feel like I let you guys off the hook with the Twitter Nostr debate that we didn't have. But like I think the zaps, like you can do really interesting things with ecash from a like programmable way. And it just makes it easier to run a custodian and it makes the custodians more responsible in terms of and it doesn't make the custodians more responsible, but it makes the custodians a better model if you're going to use a custodian in the first place, because the custodian can't see all your transactions.
Yeah, but I think,
Period.
I
And
think
Fedimint's, it's a multi-sig custodian.
I
So
think the Liquid Federation could have implemented ecash or some proper privacy.
yeah, instead of
thing.
just
And it would have been way better than.
confidential payments.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of
use cases.
Well, if your goal is to get privacy without trading off the custody so much and having full auditability, yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah, I mean, NIMCAB has the point. Like, it's basically a USD bill. Like a USD bill, like if you have a dollar bill in your hand, I don't think anyone calls it a USD bill, but you have a dollar bill in your hand, it's basically like a self-custody IOU, right? And that's what ecash is. It's
so
recreating the dollar bill for Bitcoin.
the old school gold certificates and silver certificates denominated in US dollars were IOUs.
They were
gold.
basically ecash.
But nowadays, US dollar is not an IOU. It's just pure.
It's still an
shitcoin.
IOU. I
Yeah,
mean,
but what are you going to redeem it for?
and thank you guys for joining us for Little Dispatch 135. I don't know. I mean, but that's what it is, right? It's like it's the paper bill equivalent. It's you get privacy, but you're still trusting a custodian.
That's true.
And with Fedimints, it's multi-sig.
Yeah,
That's obviously
with
an
Cashew
improvement.
currently, I think it's only one custodian, which makes
Correct.
the ruggability higher.
Yeah.
But with Fedimint, it's a federation multisig
Yeah.
that has to sign off of every ecash created.
Yeah.
So Liquid and Fedimint is a bit similar in that regard.
Do you think, Wiz, you've been a Liquid bull for way too long?
It's not a Liquid bull, I tell you.
Does
I want to accept Liquid payments for like Accelerator, but
does Liquid? Can I pay with Liquid for Accelerator?
You cannot.
Why not? Do
Because
you not
nobody
even
uses
care about
Liquid.
Liquid?
You're literally the first person to ask that, and I know you're not seriously interested in doing it. So
I know the only person who would pay for it is there's only two people though. It's you and maybe one other person.
Steve.
it's actually not
Yeah,
even me.
I wasn't
It
gonna
was
say
Simon
Steve.
who wanted CC's Liquid.
Actually, I was the first user who topped up balance to my Lightning Accelerator account using Liquid.
So did you go to Beefsteak on Friday?
Yeah.
So can I dox him? I'm allowed to dox him. The only person that's ever paid for Beefsteak on Liquid was Steve.
We also mention this every year on the show.
But look, if you didn't
But can I
accept
dox
Liquid, there would be 0 people paying with Liquid.
Yeah,
you
so
have to
instead we
accept
got
it,
one
right?
person. Yeah, so like
I-
when can Steve pay for an Accelerator transaction?
I think Liquid was a really cool idea 5 or 6 years ago when it first came out, but for whatever reason, not blaming anybody, the ecosystem was not built around Liquid. The ecosystem was built around Lightning.
You mean the market didn't want Liquid, right?
No, I mean, you have to make it happen. Like Blockstream could have made all these wallets and swap services and stuff, but they didn't really. They just kind of shipped Liquid and said, okay, you guys build it, right?
But we have Aqua now, and we have
Yeah, do you think Aqua makes sense?
It's kind of like too little too late, in my opinion.
So Aqua uses Lightning, but at rest, it holds everything in Liquid.
yeah, it just uses Lightning as swaps. It
And
doesn't-
then Amboss released something similar. It's similar. It's called Mi Banco app.
I think so. So you got to remember, like when Liquid first came out, Lightning was just like an idea and just starting out too,
Right.
and it wasn't really clear like which one.
Right.
Was gonna win.
Liquid's much simpler.
But Lightning won. Like the whole ecosystem developed on top of Lightning, and literally nothing developed on top of Liquid. So just being like a realist, like a reasonable person, like yeah, I'm gonna go use Lightning because everyone used Lightning. I have nothing against Liquid. It's just nobody uses it.
I mean, so I can't use Liquid to pay for Mempool acceleration.
That's correct.
we
so, I
could
mean, I
a
feel
brief
like-
time, but we turned it off. That's the true story.
Well,
I feel like you guys are just you're gonna get flamed by like the 3 Liquid bulls for not accepting Mempool acceleration now. After
I
this
think we
episode.
should support
That's
the
fine.
Bitcoin ecosystem, and by supporting,
Wiz is the one stopping it, right? Is that what you're saying, Sam?
I think we should support ecash and Arc going forward.
Arc doesn't exist. Can it exist
It
without a
exists
soft fork?
on Liquid.
But it needs a fork, right? Arc on liquid.
Yeah, it exists
Are you
already. I
bullish
tried
on
it.
Arc on liquid?
It's like a layer 3.
It might act as a testnet right now, but I actually tried the first.
You're gonna
Arc
like
wallet.
go through the trouble of supporting it, and then like 95% of people are gonna use Apple Pay to pay for their accelerations. This is gonna
We're
happen.
not going to go through the trouble of supporting it.
Okay.
Lightning works great.
MZ's on his. He's banked like 10 questions. This is the 7th question. In a very high fee market, people will start using liquid. Also, swap from Lightning to. This is not a question.
You sure
That's an
about that?
There's
People will
in a
start
high
using
fee
liquid?
market, people aren't going to use liquid.
No.
Maybe. We already saw it.
The problem
No one used liquid in the high
the
fee
problem
market.
is
It
that
was like Stefan said like I'm using liquid, and then no one used
the
it.
problem is that the tools aren't really there, right? It's like, where's my multi-sig cold storage? Where's my
Well, why would you have
hardware wallet?
multi-sig cold storage on liquid?
Does not support, right? It's like,
What doesn't support?
I don't really want to like like
Should we fight
argue
about liquid?
it's like there's a million things that just don't exist on liquid, right? Whereas on Bitcoin,
I would like to see a coin join implementation on liquid.
exactly,
I feel like that would be
you
good.
know, there's a million things like that that could have been
Yeah.
built 5-6 years ago, but didn't.
No one built it.
I
Nobody
think
built
what we're lacking is the Bitcoin Super app, a great app that has everything that people use today with Bitcoin, but it also has liquid, and it will automatically use liquid.
Ooh, isn't that Aqua or no?
Yeah, but then it's like a new wallet you have to start using. So you have one wallet for this and
But
one
you
for
want a
that.
super app? It's obviously got to be a new.
With my
new
Phoenix wallet, I can pay Lightning and on chain. It automatically figures out
Yeah.
based on the QR code.
but not liquid.
No. So
Awesome. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed this. I think this has been a prolific episode. I'm glad this is the first one after the break. I think I wouldn't rather have it with anyone else than you guys.
Can we talk about the accelerator?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? I mean, the accelerator is so awesome that you talk about it for 15 minutes, like it just fucking works. What else do you want to talk about? Do you have something to talk about?
I don't know. I thought we would talk more about.
You're the host.
It's just, we worked on this thing for 5 years. Oh wow, Ocean mined a block.
Wow. Congratulations, guys.
First in a week. That was actually causing a bug for our interface. We were only fetching the pools that have mined a block in the past week. And so when it went over a week, it started crashing. So
now we're good. You don't have to fix the bug.
right.
But you did fix it, right?
It's fixed, but not in production. So
Well, we were busy with other things.
did they mine it?
No, they did
Accelerator
not.
oh, that's unlucky.
They didn't mind any accelerated transactions?
But they had mined in the previous.
Not today.
Not today. But
Not today. So what do you want, Wiz? What do you want to talk about the accelerator? Let's talk about it.
I just think
I'm happy to chat about it.
The psychology of the accelerator is such that nobody cares about the accelerator until they have a stuck transaction,
And then it's the best thing that's ever.
and then they're like, "Oh yes, give me the accelerator."
No.
And it's like a very high time preference concept, and that's
Not
why.
really.
Well, it's like if you're in trouble, right? Like your transaction's stuck,
I need it.
you need it right now.
Yeah.
But if you are low time preference, you're not gonna like set up your accelerator account. You're not gonna like.
Well, I mean, if you don't need, that's the cool part is you don't need an accelerator account.
Right. And that's kind of why we didn't build it to require, we don't require an account. MZ asks, thank you, MZ.
He's got 5 more questions left.
Do you have examples of transactions that are stuck and a good candidate for the accelerator? Lightning force closes.
Yeah, all the lightning shit.
All the lightning shit. Actually, yeah.
we should make a filter for that so we can.
And then also, anytime you deposit into like an exchange or something, like you deposit in a custodial wallet where you can't
fee bump it.
And if you do, if you can't even do a CPFP because you did a full send, max send to Cash App or something.
You know what it's actually really good for is, I think, 2 or 3 use cases. Number one is when, say you have a Cash App account and someone sends you sats into your Cash App account
At 1 sat per byte.
at 1 sat per byte.
They listened to Catan. They were like, 1 sat per byte's going to clear. This was
And
like
they-
a year and a
Bad
half ago.
advice.
You can't RBF it because you don't have the keys. You can't CPFP it because you don't have the keys.
Yeah.
And all you can do is accelerate it. And then another good use case is like a multi-sig vault where all the key holders are in different countries and it takes 24 hours for everyone to sign. And by the time you get everyone to sign, the fees went through the roof.
Yep.
And it's just buried in the mempool, or sometimes not even broadcastable because it's below the purge rate. And you need the accelerator.
But honestly, I think in reality, 90% of accelerations will be people that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what RBF is, and they're using a wallet that's shitty.
Yeah, it's just easier UX than
Yeah.
RBF or CPFP.
Right.
All right. So just somehow, if you're 2 hours into Citadel Dispatch 135 and you do not understand what RBF, replaced by fee, or CPFP is, child pays for parent, let me explain it to you. So replaced by fee is you're the sender and your wallet supports replaced by fee. You send a transaction, it's stuck in the mempool. You open Sparrow or whatever wallet you're using, but you probably should just be using Sparrow. And you want to, your fee is stuck, your transaction is stuck. You can replace it with a new transaction that has a higher fee. You're the sender in that situation. Child pays for parent. You receive a transaction and you have this transaction. You can take that transaction and you can send another transaction with a much higher fee rate. And then that child gets confirmed with that parent transaction. Child pays for parent. And then it gets confirmed. Now, I will say in the CPFP situation, actually in both situations, it's kind of hard to estimate what fee you want to set to get into the next block. And with your UX, it's just way, 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 way easier.
Yeah. You
And also
need a
just
special-
conceptually, it's just easier to
Yeah.
understand, right? Like you just go to mempool.space and just,
Yeah, you need a special calculator for CPFP to hit the right fee.
it's
And
so
also-
hard.
And also, you might end up paying a lot.
Way
because
more.
You need to pay a new transaction with a very high fee.
Yeah.
That bumps the other ones.
And if the other transaction has a lot of inputs,
Yeah.
like it might be really high. And you have no idea. And then it might not even get confirmed. Like the mempools might run away from you and then it just doesn't even get confirmed.
If your transaction is stuck, use mempool accelerator.
I mean, Wiz, you're the one who wanted to talk. Like, the beauty of this is it required a lot of work, but it's so easy in practice.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about.
It's hard
It's hard
talk
to
about, you're right.
discuss.
It's cool. I think you wanted to talk about goats and other things anyway.
Who, me?
Yeah, liquid. No, the ride or die free.
The chat
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
steered this conversation. I
That's-
mean, look, I just want you to be Nostr only. Like, I'm a simple man.
But I never even tweet anything anyway.
Yeah, but when you do, you should just not, and you should just post it on Nostr, and we'll
We have. If you can go,
we'll zap you.
if you go to primal.net/mempool, you can see we tweeted something 10 hours ago.
What about primal.net/Wiz? Like, you haven't posted in a while.
Well, I didn't tweet anything from there either. Okay, I tweeted Odell was right about an hour ago
Oh, you did?
because someone told me to.
You did. How was the engagement on that? Are the people loving it?
Are you FOMOing for Twitter engagement?
I don't know. I can't see it because it has a paywall now. Like I not a paywall, but a login wall. Like you can't check it unless you have a Twitter account. It's okay. I forgive you. Thank you for saying I was right.
Everyone
Thanks a
wants
lot.
to know what you were right about, though.
Is that what they're all?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're clearly not paying attention because plenty of things. Guys, this has been a pleasure. Thanks for coming to Nashville.
Of course, we came here for you. The conference was just a satellite event.
Yeah, I agree.
Bitcoin Park was the
It
main
was
event.
great. Yeah, I stayed just near Bitcoin Park. Came here every day. I think I went to a conference one day to see that the Trump thing, historical,
So it's
event.
a moment.
And also Wiz's announcement. Of course, that was my two slots on the.
He just saved his ass.
Otherwise, I just hang out.
The company was about to break apart.
Yeah.
You guys are both leaving tomorrow?
Yeah, I guess.
You know we have Rust Bitcoin week this week, right?
Yeah.
Did you see all the developers upstairs?
Yeah, we saw.
Yeah, we're busy. We're running the mempool. We have to accelerate
You're
transactions.
running the mempool. The conspiracies are real. There's only one mempool, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it's funny how that we kind of memed that into existence, but
Let your memes be dreams. Oh, Simon's getting called. Simon's important. You can put on speakerphone. They can join the call.
it's like Marty's dad calling into the show. Is that your dad? You should put him on the show.
What's a friend? What's a Bitcoiner? Actually,
Nashville's cool. All right, it's good vibes.
You should have callers on the show. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Should we have a caller?
But how would they call in? You'd have to use Twitter.
Well, they can call me on Signal.
Oh, Signal? Yeah.
I could just hold it when Marty's dad calls. I just hold it on speakerphone.
Boomer, Uncle Boomer.
Guys, this has been great. I have nothing else to ask you. Do you have anything to ask me? AMA. No.
MZ has a question. We have a question from the live studio audience.
MZ, what's your question? Are you tired? MZ's asking me if I'm tired. I'm exhausted. It's been a long fucking week.
That's true. I think
Only for
I'm
you
glad
guys.
it's over. It was great, but I'm glad it's over.
It felt like a decade.
But it was a great experience. It was a hell of a conference.
It was a good week. It was a monumental week. It was a momentous week. It was pretty ridiculous sitting next to Rizzo during the live stream, just like, we are moments away from
literally minutes away
for the 47th president of the United States joining us on stage with a special guest, Matthew Odell. How do you feel about this situation? That was pretty ridiculous, but it was a pleasure to be a part of it. Honestly, I think you guys give Rizzo a little bit too much shit. Not you guys, but
are you pumped for the Vegas conference?
I'm not. It conflicts with HRF with Oslo.
Oh,
so I will not be going.
I think Nashville was great for the conference venue. I'm kind of sad to see it go to Vegas.
Same.
Honestly, like
I thought it was going to move here now because of
in their defense, their conference center had no openings for next year. Nashville's like sneaky
like the whole year.
Yeah, Nashville's like sneaky one of the best places to have a conference. So like that conference center is like heavily booked.
Wow.
Oh, that's a good one. Ivan said that so many times, even in front of Dr. Ron Paul. That whole time I was wearing the same headphones as Ron Paul. I never had a moment to mention that on a live stream, but that was cool. Same headphones. Our ears kind of kissed.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a moment.
Yeah, I don't know about. I mean, maybe like for a DEF CON or CES sized conference, you got to go to Vegas. But I still feel like the Bitcoin conference would have done very nicely in Nashville for at least a few more years.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a good fit. I mean, literally, Vegas it makes sense from like a conference running perspective, but like my pitch to so many people I talk to is that like Bitcoin is the safe haven asset. It's the conservative asset. It's the freedom asset. It's the thing that you just hold long term for your kids and your children, and you can spend it without permission, and you can save it without permission. And Vegas is very much a degen paradise. And it was always like, to me, it was like, you have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the humble one, and then you have shitcoins, which is the degen one, and going to like degen centers kind of a bad look, but also, I understand where they're coming from. But my point is, if you're competing with the Oslo Freedom Forum, like I just can't. Like I go to HRF events. Like that's just how it is. Like it's the one event that I'll always go to. It's special, and activists from around the world to go there, and it is what it is. So Nostr, you gonna use it more? Can you promise that you'll use it more, Wiz?
Yeah, we've been posting from the Mempool Nostr. a
Every
lot.
time you send a LinkedIn message, will you repost it
I
to
do not use
Nostr?
LinkedIn. Fuck LinkedIn.
I mean, you didn't say you didn't.
LinkedIn
so-
is when you're looking for a
Why
job.
would you think I have LinkedIn?
I don't know. To connect with the suits that want to accelerate their transactions.
We have a lot of not tweets. We have a lot of posts on Nostr. We have a lot of goats and other stuff on Nostr. Primal.net/mempool. You can follow the Mempool
There
open
we
source
go.
on Nostr.
Simon, are you on Nostr at all? Like, I feel like I've let you off the hook.
I'm a
this one.
Nostr.
Do you post?
I post occasionally. I post more on Twitter.
Do you zap?
Okay, occasionally.
I feel like you should zap more.
Okay.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't mean to shame you guys. I love both you guys. MZ, you have 5 questions left. We'll let you bank that for the next
Lightning
episode.
round.
There'll be a next episode. There's always a next episode.
But not when he's on the sofa.
Yeah, well, next time he can just join from the live chat wherever he is. By the way, MZ, thank you for coming to Nashville. It's been an honor and a privilege to host you over here. You are a fucking legend. When I introduced MZ, I introduced him as a default Electrum node on Sparrow.
That's
the introduction.
For,
That's the highest honor. Yeah.
I feel like that's legit. Wiz, final thoughts.
Thanks for having us on the show. It's been many years that you've been having me and Simon on the show, and it's been cool to kind of come on every once in a while and give us a chance to shill our wares and look back on the past time we were on the show and think, oh wow, the project has grown quite a lot since then. But it's funny how we always kind of say the same stuff every episode, more or less.
You kind of love it. It's special.
It's special.
Well, thanks for coming back on. Simon, final thoughts.
It was cool to be on once again. And I hope next time we're on, the fees are going to be like 1,000 sats per V-byte to get into the next
Do you think
one.
they will be?
Yeah. They're going to stabilize around a few hundred sats per V-byte next time.
When is it going to be? When's the next time?
Next time is maybe a year from now.
A year from now, it's going to be 1,000 sats.
We're going to come back here next
probably
year.
1,000, a couple of hundreds. Let's say 100, a few hundred.
100 sats per byte next time.
Yeah. Anything is going to stabilize around a few hundred sats like every year after year.
Let's rip it. Thank you, guys. Love you, freaks.
Yeah.
Boom.
Whoa, yeah. What condition my condition was in? I woke up this morning with the sun down, shining in. Found my mind in a brown paper bag within. Tripped on a cloud and fell 8 miles high. Tore my mind on a jagged sky. Jumped in to see what condition my condition was in. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in. I pushed my soul in a deep dark hole, then I followed it. I watched myself crawling out as I was crawling in. I got up tears on a dead end sign. I had my foot on the gas as I left the road, blew out my mind. 8 miles out of Memphis and got those red. 8 miles straight up downtown somewhere. Dropped in to see what condition my condition. Said I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. Yeah, yeah, whoa,
Love you, freaks. I got a couple more rips this week. Then I'll probably take a little bit of a break before Riga. Riga is going to be loaded with rips. I love you all. You can keep track of what comes next on the show either at primal.net/Odell on my Nostr account, or our dope Citadel Dispatch Matrix chat that is still running wild. All those links are at citadeldispatch.com. Huge love, huge shout out to both Wiz and Simon and everyone at the Mempool.space team for what they built. And huge shout out for you freaks for continuing to support the show. By the way, that song was Kenny Rogers in the first edition. I think it's called Just Dropped In. Yeah, it just dropped in. 1972. Legit. Anyway, I love you all. I hope you're building your strategic Bitcoin reserve personally. And stay humble, stack sats. Peace.